Hello, everyone. Welcome to our session. Thank you for joining us with TCOID, and thank you for having us attend this back to school awesome program that you guys are putting on. Let's get started. My name is Anna Sabino. I am the College Diabetes Network's Director of Young Adult Programs, and joined by my colleague, Will.
Hi, I'm Will. I am CDN's Program Coordinator.
Awesome. So Will and I are super excited to talk about all things back to school with you, guessed it, the College Diabetes Network, and all things college. College is an awesome opportunity, most of us know, but it can also be really overwhelming. That involves a lot of support and also opportunities for young adults, especially with T1D. So let's jump in. What we're going to talk about today is what is CDN, the College Diabetes Network, why you might need us, how can we help you kind of navigate this journey, and then how can you connect with us, because we know you really do want to hang out with us and need us. Will and I are pretty cool people, along with the thousands of other young adults that have gone through the CDN journey and participated in our programs and resources. So we're super excited that you guys are here, and let's dig in. So what is CDN? Way back in 2009, our CEO, Christina Roth, was a college student. She was diagnosed at 14, kind of just felt alone and isolated in her dorm room, and really just wanted to connect with other people living with T1D. I mean, who doesn't want to see a random tubing or CGM like poking out, walking across campus or inside the dining hall? I know I would have loved that when I was in college. But today, CDN is a nonprofit organization. We have a staff of about 10, and our mission and goal is to really keep students safe and help them navigate this journey of young adulthood through our peer support programs, like our Cornerstone program, which is our chapter network, which we'll talk about at length, and then our support resources for all of the people that support young adults, because we know we can't do this alone. Our tagline is "on your own, but not alone," and everything that we do at CDN really rings true to that line right there. So who do we support? I sort of alluded to that earlier. The young adult is really at the center of everything that we do at CDN, with the young adult in mind. So that being said, high school students, young professionals, the people that love them, like clinicians and college administrators, and most importantly, caregivers, families, siblings, all of the people that really make up the young adult ecosystem, to make sure that they are safe and have a successful transition, because we know that a transition to young adulthood really takes a lot of effort and a lot of time. It's not something that just happens overnight. This is a long, drawn out process that we hope that you have started. If you're heading off to college this fall, or you're starting to think about it, we want you to know that CDN really encourages everybody to know that it's a process, and we're here to help guide you along that journey. So off to college, what do we need? CDN, the College Diabetes Network, is, we were formed by this feeling of lack of support and need for more connectivity on college campuses, because it is so hard for students to make this transition away from home. Oftentimes it's the first time kids are really living and learning and doing everything without mom and dad, or without the support of people that have been there since diagnosis, really. I don't know about you, Will, but I was diagnosed when I was 6, and I attended the same kind of kindergarten through 12th grade school system. So everybody kind of just knew me as the pump girl, or that like I had to go to the nurse's office in high school. So it was a pretty big deal for me to just kind of just do it all on my own. And our resources are really here to kind of walk you through a lot of those nitty gritty things that we really hope parents and families get a hold of pretty early on in the college search process. So Will, do you want to talk a little bit about a little bit more about these guides, and especially the You've Got This guide?
Yeah, definitely. My own experience, I'll touch on a little bit in more detail later, but I was actually diagnosed at age 18 in February of my senior year in high school. And I truly have absolutely no idea what I would have done without the Off to College guide, because I had about 6 months from diagnosis until move-in day, and I had to learn how to be diabetic and how to go off to college at the same time. And it was extremely
That's a
overwhelming.
lot.
Yeah, it was really overwhelming, but the guide, I'm probably one of the few people who's read that guide cover to cover multiple times, because it's just got so much good information and like timelines and suggestions. And we're going to talk a bit more about the resources here, but take a minute right now, pause this video and download them. We can only but scratch the surface of these in this presentation, and they're so full of information that you should have. And the other guide that I always recommend people take a look at is the You've Got This guide. It was designed for people who are newly diagnosed in the young adult stage, like myself, between sort of 17 and 25 age range. But I found out when I went to college that a lot of people who have had diabetes since they were really young have not had that like diabetes 101 education in a really long time. And so it was funny to meet people who had been diabetic for 10 years who like didn't know what DKA actually was. They just knew that they weren't supposed to do it. So this guide is honestly a really good way to just sort of give yourself like a refresher. And
Mm.
specifically, it talks a lot about the issues and challenges that are faced by young adults in that life stage, that even if you've been diabetic your whole childhood, you probably haven't encountered yet. Like drinking, all of that good stuff. And it speaks from a young adult voice to a young adult. So even if you've been diabetic throughout your childhood, I still highly recommend reading at least the parts of this guide that seem most interesting to you.
I think that's perfectly well said. And I think, a lot of times we find that, parents are hungry for this knowledge, and the students don't necessarily, they kind of brush it aside or put it at the bottom of their textbook saying, I'll look at this someday. But I so wish that I had these guides at my fingertips, even when you start to meet new people as a young adult and you're like, how do I talk about diabetes in a way that makes sense to someone, and where do I start? Because I'm one of those people. I diagnosed in kindergarten, like I learned something new every time I open that guide to a new page, and it's more or less just a reference. I think for students too, because we all know our doctor's appointments and our endo appointments, we don't have time to often dig into the educational piece and the nitty gritty, especially when we're really focused on that transition off to school or moving away from home. So highly recommend you guys get your hands on these. Use them as a reference. If you're not drinking right now, fine, know that it's there. If you're not going to be living at home and you're doing some sort of virtual hybrid world semester, know that there is info on either end. So let's go to the next slide.
Yeah, so these are just some of the things that are in the Off to College guide, that are touched on in the Off to College guide. And a lot of these are just things that that you have to think about as a person who's going either off to college or off to work or just leaving home and transitioning as a young adult with diabetes, that maybe other people don't really have to think about. For example, your medical team. If you're moving far away from home, who are you going to see? Are you going to see your endo when you're home on break? Are you going to find someone there? Academics and accommodations. A lot of people have like a 504 or like an individualized learning plan that's good for them with their diabetes. That does not follow you to college. Every college has its own system. They do have accommodations for you, but you have to seek them out and you have to know how to self-advocate. So there's tips and tricks about how to do that. A personal favorite, supply purchasing, mailing, and storing. College dorm rooms are small spaces where you have to learn to optimize your storage. And I always joke that diabetes automatically doubles your luggage no matter where you're going. So I have to take a full backpack down the street. I have to take a full suitcase for a weekend. I have to take 2 suitcases for a month because I have to bring enough diabetes supplies. So imagine moving out for 3 months with everything you want and your bedding and your towels and everything else, and having to bring months of diabetes supplies and a refrigerator. So it's good to be thinking about that beforehand so you don't show up in the dorm room and realize that you don't know how you're going to store anything.
I was just going to echo that. And I think, to put another plug out there for CDN, that's why our resources and our community and our social media is so valuable, because people like Will and so many of our other current chapter leaders and former leaders, they've been there, done that. And our community and our social media groups and our programs, we're here for you. We've been there, done that. And we want you guys to all have a successful transition too, because there's a lot more than just these kind of 6 circles on this slide. There's diabetes is every single part of our life. It comes with us. It's that roommate that you kind of don't really want, that is just there.
Definitely. And I yeah, like I said, the guides are so critical, but there's no need for you to reinvent the wheel. Someone's done it before. You should learn from our experiences so that your life can be easier than some other people's were.
Awesome. The other thing I would highlight too here is just the social piece, and and that obviously intersects with the mental health support, is that it can be really overwhelming. And I think I always tell people to just kind of practice talking about diabetes. And everybody is going to come to school, especially as a freshman, with something. And I think the hardest part with diabetes is that there's so much to unpack when you're telling someone about diabetes for the first time. And it's kind of like dating. I remember, like, oh, is this person going to be my friend? Do I tell them about diabetes? Like, am I going to go on a second date with this person? I don't know. Like, is this going to be a one and done? Like, go to lunch with this girl down the hall? You have no idea. And I think that was my biggest adjustment, is when to open up a little bit. And I would just, let it be natural, use humor, and know that there is support, whether it's through CDN or on your campus, that we've all been there, and look for the support, because people are out there for that reason.
And on the caregiver relationships note, sorry, just to go back for a
Yeah.
quick second, there is an off to college guide designed for caregivers.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to plug that separately, and make it really clear that there is a guide that's designed for the concerns of a caregiver that is also worth your time to download and look at, and it will answer a lot of the burning questions. And it's written again by that audience for that audience, so it's the same general content, but it can put you at ease.
Awesome. Yep, for sure. All right,
Yeah.
Will, tell us all about the peer support aspect. You're
Yes.
a lot newer out of school than I am.
Yeah, so peer support is really like the central theme of what we know. Research across the board indicates that people who have diabetes thrive when they have peers who understand what they're going through. It helps your mental health, it helps your physical health, helps your grades, it helps everything. Because having just one person who you can talk to and just not have to explain everything to can make a world of difference. Sometimes I just want to complain that my blood sugar is high. I want someone to know what that means and me not to have to tell them. And that can make an amazing difference when no one else in your life truly gets it, the way maybe your parents or your siblings or your diabetic camp friends might have always gotten it for you growing up. And so the way that we go about this is primarily through our chapter network. So we have 275 active chapters at universities and colleges across the country. These are started by students and for students. And CDN supports these chapters in a number of ways. We, give them stipends, we help them plan activities, they have access to a lot of resources, they can apply for grant funding. But in terms of what these chapters do, CDN keeps a pretty hands-off approach, because we believe that the best community for peer support is whatever that community needs at the time. So each chapter is going to be different. They're going to do different things, and they're going to do the things that make the most sense for them. Some chapters meet every week, have guest speakers, and have standard sort of club meetings. Some chapters meet up every third Thursday and complain about blood sugars. both of these chapters are fantastic chapters because they're what that community needs. And I think that getting involved in a chapter is probably the easiest and best way to go about being part of the CDN community. And if there's not a chapter at your school, we make it very easy to start one. It is my job to help people start and maintain chapters. And I actually started a chapter at my school when I got there as a freshman. So I've done it. I know how it works. I know what it takes. And I'm telling you, you can do it. Anyone can if you want to badly enough. So I think that sort of touches on the peer support stuff. We have a number of ways that we try to expand our reach outside of chapters or in addition to chapters. And some of these include, well, our educational resources that we've talked about. We have a couple of other kind of programs that we like to run. We have a reach initiative that we've been doing to go about contacting campus administrators and helping find more support for our chapters that way. We have an active parent Facebook group. So really anyone who knows or loves a young adult with diabetes or is a young adult with diabetes has a way to get involved. I just love this quote, so I'm going to give you a second to read it.
And this is one of our former chapter leaders, who's also actually involved in one of our leadership development programs right now. And the picture on the right is one of a group of, I think she got cut out of the photo, but there's several people here who are, I think, part of a chapter who are tabling and participating in a community event at their school.
Yeah. Campus chapters do all kinds of different activities as well. Like some of them choose to do advocacy stuff. Some of them like to do tabling and awareness. Some of them have pretty successful fundraising campaigns. And like I said, some of them just kind of have informal meetups and a group chat. And I know I'll never forget, there was a time when the pharmacy closed before I could make it. And I was out of insulin. Like I had none. I had nothing. My site was about to run out. And I just didn't know what I was going to do.
Ugh, the
so
worst.
I was able to call one of my College Diabetes Network friends and be like, listen, would you let me fill one cartridge out of your insulin and I will bring you back what you need? And they said, don't worry about it. Take this vial. When you go get yours, just give me one back. And like knowing that there was somebody who was willing to help care for me in that way, even though, you know, it wasn't really their job, made me feel so supported and so much safer on that campus, because I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought I was going to have to go to the emergency room to get them to prescribe and fill a prescription on the spot. I don't know what I would have done. So that's just one example of a way that like the chapter network really builds these strong communities of support that every diabetic needs, even if maybe they don't know it.
I think that's why this quote kind of hits the nail on the head. And although I didn't have a CDN chapter, I was very grateful that I had a reliable group of camp friends. And I don't know, even though we used instant messenger and texting even really wasn't a thing when I was in college, but just like knowing they were there to vent to, even if I didn't have someone physically on campus, I knew they were there, and I'm still so close with them today. And I don't think either Will or I would be working for CDN, frankly, if we didn't understand and really have a passion for giving back the energy that we felt and know is so special and needed for this this population.
100%. So these are just a few more of the resources that I want to plug real quick. We have resources. We are the College Diabetes Network, but we do have resources for people who are going off to work. So this could be people who are starting work straight away after high school. These could be people who are starting a first job. This could be young professionals who have just kind of gotten out of college and are searching for jobs. The Off to Work Guide has a ton of really great information in it about, you know, how to disclose diabetes to employers, like when to do that, what they're allowed to ask you, seeking accommodations in the workspace, interviewing with diabetes, um, insurance, a huge one. And then on that note, this We Speak Diabetes resource has an incredible series of videos that really clearly explain insurance, which I know sounds like something that's not possible, but it is. These videos are a fantastic resource. I learn something new every time I watch them.
Mhm.
That they describe sort of what the terms mean and what they look like and how to go about finding insurance, and really kind of demystifying something that for young adults, especially turning 26 and aging out of their parents' insurance, all are stressed about. So I cannot recommend enough to anybody to check that out, because as the next opportunity you have to shop for insurance comes up, you can be armed with a lot better knowledge and make a more informed decision about the kind of insurance that makes sense for you as a person with diabetes, that's going to help save you the most money and get the most out of it. And then we put the You've Got This guide here again, because this guide is really designed for any young adult who either has recently been diagnosed with diabetes or just kind of wants to know more information about the issues that young adults face. So there is insurance information in that one a bit as well. But like I said before, it talks about, women's health, men's health, dating, drinking, all of the young adult issues that we all face, and that diabetes, as we said, touches every part of your life, and those are no exceptions. So it's a really good place to just start if you're entering into a new phase of life that you want to know more about and you want to have some peer-to-peer advice. I actually helped edit this guide as in a focus group, so it was edited by peers and it is by young adults and for young adults to give people information that we know they want to know about. So truly cannot recommend these enough.
Yeah. The other last thing I was going to highlight about the insurance stuff is that it is done in a way that really speaks to us living with diabetes. I think, insurance is so overwhelming at a global societal level, and it's a whole other language. It's like learning diabetes. There's carb counts and DKA, and they're similar with insurance. And there unfortunately there's no required education around the insurance terminology, but again, I wish I had this at my fingertips, and I still reference it as someone in my 30s who, you're always learning something as the healthcare system evolves, and want to be most informed to advocate for, the lowest possible cost for a pretty high cost illness. And these are all available for free on our resource hub that you can easily request to download, which hopefully you've already done while you're watching this. So this is kind of, as we wrap up here a little bit, we really just wanted, again, to know that hopefully you guys have connected with us, but CDN's tagline, again, is on your own, but not alone. And our community always has the needs and the challenges and the gaps of the young adult in mind. We offer an annual young adult survey for that reason, so we can be continuously monitoring those needs. What are young adults saying out in the community? What are the concerns of Gen Z? What is actually happening on campuses, and how can CDN continue to be there for young adults, ages 17 to 30, like Will said, whether you are just looking for an internship when you're 18, or you're 25 and in grad school and still need support, or you're diagnosed when you're 22. And so we want you to just know that we are here for you regardless of where you're at on your journey to independence. And as a parent now, I know that everything happens at an individualized pace. Some kids learn to walk when they're 12 months, some are 17. Every single student living with diabetes has their own individualized, insulin regimen, carb ratio, and that's no different than the transition to independence. And I think that is what's so nice about our community, is that the opportunity to know that you're not alone, but learn from each other, and the tips and the tricks and the, oh, what site is that? How can I use that? It's those little things that I think kind of just help you get through your day, and that unspoken understanding of just knowing that someone else just gets it. And even though for the past 15 months or so, the world has sort of been turned upside down, and there's this heightened sense of worry and fear, I think, among the diabetes community, we are here for you now more than ever. And Will is an amazing resource for those who are interested in starting or wanting to get involved in a chapter. I also wanted to touch base on our Next Gen leadership program, which is a fellowship really designed for those who are kind of like Will, who at some point knew, because of their personal passion and interest in the community, wanted to take it to the next level. And our applications will be coming out in January for the 2022 fellowship, which is a 6-month opportunity to connect with other young adults and those who really want to pursue a career in the diabetes sector. So the last thing I wanted to just mention too is that you don't have to have type 1 to be a part of a chapter. We're super welcoming, diverse community. We want any and everyone who wants to be a diabetes advocate to come join us. If you have a sister with type 1, if you have type 2, if you're in grad school, this isn't a exclusive community whatsoever. And I think the other thing that maybe you could just mention for even 30 seconds, Will, is just like, where do I start on campus? Because I think especially for incoming freshmen, that can be kind of intimidating. And yeah, so I would love for you to just talk about that, because I think for the parents and the newbies who just want their kids to be successful, what would be the first step that you would say if someone's like literally walking onto campus next month and is like just dire to get involved?
So step 1, download the Off to College guide.
There you go.
The first step is that there's a wonderful moving out timeline
Yeah.
that I lived by. It is so well thought out. It's very, very structured, and it helps you think about, what do I need to be doing 3 months before, 2 months before, 1 month before, 1 week before, like before move-in day. So start there. And then walking onto campus on day 1, just know that you can do this for a start. Like you've done it, you've made it, and you're starting. And make sure you communicate that you have diabetes to the specific people who are kind of need to know people day 1. Don't wait to tell your roommate that you have diabetes for when it's 3:00 in the morning and your low alarm is going off and it's bothering everyone and you're angry. That's not the time. The time is gently, day 1. Hey, just so you know, I have diabetes.
Or even beforehand,
Exactly.
Practice on your mom and dad, or send them a text, or draft an email.
And
Whatever.
like Anna said, use humor. I told my roommate, like, hey, just so you know, I have diabetes. Sometimes I beep, sometimes I buzz. You shouldn't have to do anything. If I'm beeping and I don't wake up, throw a pillow at me. Don't suffer. Like, that's just all I had to say. And he was pretty much on board after that. And the nitty gritty people pick up over time. Eventually, my roommate could tell when I was low because of my behavior. But it to start out, just break that ice quickly, and it'll make you feel so much better already. And if you are interested in starting a chapter, getting in touch with me is the best possible way to start. And getting in touch with our community in general is a good place to start. You'll learn so much from fellow diabetics across the country. This is all of our social media and newsletter information. We prioritize sending information we know is going to be useful, so it is worth signing up for. We are not spamming, we are sharing.
We don't send daily emails, but you should follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever your heart desires, Twitter. And we have monthly newsletters that are obviously relevant based on the time of year, with blogs and events. and we're kind of where you want to be. We're kind of cool cats.
We're pretty
So
great.
yeah, you are the sorority fraternity that you should probably get involved in, as the session tagline I think said. So and it's not just chapters. That's the other thing I will end on. You know, the chapter network from a campus perspective is the cornerstone backbone of our organization, but our community reaches far beyond those traditional 4 years of school. And so reach out to us. We don't bite. And we hope that you guys found all this info valuable. Definitely reach out to us. That's the website. That's the information. And thanks for coming to our session.
Thanks.